Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Kids Grown Up. I'm really excited for this. This is basically going to be a little panel show. My name is Heidi. I'm a 90s kid, Disney kid at heart, and fell in love with the theme parks. And I made it my New Year's resolution to start a little YouTube channel for Disney fans. And I really love the idea of talking about Disney. So, that being said, and loving Disney as much as I do, I follow a lot of vlogs and different things like that. And one of those is the Tim Tracker. And I'm actually part of one of his fan pages. I know it may sound a little weird. But from that, I met a few other cool people. And I told them about my idea for wanting to start this kind of panel show talk format about Disney. And they all really seemed to like the idea. So from that, we got our heads together and Kids Grown Up was born. So I'm going to let you guys find out who our Kids Grown Up are, and we're going to start with Brittany.
Hi guys, I'm Brittany. I'm from Massachusetts. I've been going to Disney since I was a little kid. And then as an adult, my love for Disney just grew and grew. Mostly I've been to Disney World. I went to Disneyland once when I was a little kid, and I hope to go back there soon. But mostly I'm a Disney World kid at heart, and I just love that it makes me feel like a kid again whenever I'm there.
Hi everyone, I'm Adam. I'm from upstate New York, and bear with me, I'm a little sick, but I just love Disney just because when you're there, you can kind of forget about everything else in the outside world. It's almost like an escape from reality for a while. Similar to Brittany, mostly a Disney World kid growing up. Only been to Disney World or Disneyland once. And yeah.
Okay, and I'm Paul. I'm 35 years old. I'm from Nottingham in the UK. A massive Disney fan, bit of a nerd as far as Disney trivia comes in. Enjoy the classic Disney films, but really mad on the newer type of things, the Moanas, the Wreck-It Ralphs, and anything done by Pixar, basically.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to apologize. It's our first episode, so I'm really, really nervous. It took me about 3 tries before I could start making this like official start to this thing. So we are not professionals at all. I think Paul does a little bit of like broadcasting study on the side, but we are not like super Disney experts. We're not claiming to be. We're really just fans, and we're just wanting to have a format and a platform where everybody can talk about Disney. So what we're going to do is every week we're going to filter all through the rumors that are circulating the internet and maybe different videos and find some interesting topics and then kind of just discuss and debate them. I know this looks like a cable news format, but I promise we won't be yelling at each other. There may be some, I feel like because we are huge Disney fans, there may be some passionate responses, but everybody is really nice here. And we just want it to be like a fun, positive thing that you guys can come and check out and hear what we got to say. And if you guys have anything you got to say, I recommend you guys comment below in the comments, or if you guys have a question or topics that you want us to cover, please let us know, because like I said, we're figuring this out. So we're going to start with the first rumor, which has actually been confirmed. Let me pull it up here. It was circulating as a rumor on wdwinfo.com. But I was doing some research today on it, and this is actually from an Orlando news channel. I think it's channel 13 with their article. So, guests staying at select Walt Disney World resorts will soon have the option of buying additional fast passes. Guests will be able to buy additional fast passes available to guests staying in club level rooms. Optional cost $50 per person per day. So if you guys don't know what a club level room is, that's people that have booked the Disney Vacation Club, that they own Disney Vacation Club. Those are what those club level rooms are. So they stay in those rooms. They can sell their points. I don't know if the fast passes are going to be transferable to people that are buying points from or renting them out. I guess that'll be a question to ask. But a Disney spokesperson confirmed the information on Tuesday. The extra fast pass plus option will be available to club level resort guests. The 3 additional fast passes will cost $50 per person per day and be used at any park. Guests will need valid theme park admission. A minimum 3-day purchase is required for the add-on. So for one guest who wants to add the option for 3 days, it would cost $150. Club level resort guests will be able to add the option after making their reservation. The additional fast passes can be booked 90 days in advance instead of the usual 60 days for resort guests and 30 days for non-resort guests. With the fast passes, guests will get preferred viewing for nighttime spectaculars. The add-on is available to Disney annual pass holders who stay in eligible rooms. Disney World plans to roll out the pilot program Friday. The Fast Pass Plus service is still free of charge with theme park admission for the 3 regular fast passes. What do you guys think?
So, I mean, I'll start. I typically don't really have a problem with extra perks for annual pass holders or DVC members or that sort of thing, as long as it doesn't interfere with the vacation of a regular guest. And this situation is different in the fact that it would interfere, I would think, with a regular guest stay. You know, with rides like Flight of Passage or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train that are already really hard to get fast passes for, when you have these like 1%ers being able to get them 30 days ahead of a normal person and get even, you know, more than a normal person would get, it's just not really fair. And it seems like Disney is valuing those guests more than the average guest. In the past, it seemed like what was so great about Disney was that it catered to all families, and it's seeming lately that that's more and more not the case anymore. And it's a little sad, I think. Yeah.
I think the other thing that we've got to bear in mind is that for a lot of people, a trip to any of the Disney resorts, it's a big spend. It's a lot of money that put forward, and to then potentially go and have to wait even longer because there's DVC members that are obviously taking advantage of what they're entitled to. There's no reason they shouldn't if they are entitled to it. But I do think that it might hamper the memories of some of the people that are perhaps going on that one trip where they've stayed for so long and aren't getting a chance to go on the attractions or see the shows that they want to see, really.
I think this has been like a growing trend lately. Like with the when they put the bungalows in Tomorrowland, they're not there anymore. I don't believe. I'm pretty sure they took them down, or the cabanas. I mean, and the express bus, like these add-on services that they keep trying out. It just seems like they keep trying to like they're giving out benefits that cost more money. But I think part of a Disney vacation is that everything's all included. And like I think that was like one of the best things about the Fast Pass service was that it was something that everyone can use and everyone's entitled to it. No matter if you're an annual pass holder or if you're just there for the day, you can get a fast pass. And the fact that other people, like people can get 3 more fast passes, that's like a huge deal. If you go to Animal Kingdom, I think there's only 6 rides you can get a fast pass for. You can just get a fast pass for every ride in the park, which just seems kind of ridiculous to me. So yeah, I'm not happy about the change, but it appears to me like Disney must be suffering in their parks sector if they have to make these changes or have to be charging these add-ons and stuff, which doesn't make much sense to me with new stuff they're opening. So I'm not really sure why it's this way.
So initially when I heard the rumor, I didn't think it was that big of a deal when it was just, okay, well, you have to pay $50 per person per day, 3-night stay, $150 for one person for 3 days. I'm like, if you want to be the idiot that pays for that much money to get 3 extra fast passes, be my guest. Because I think it was proportionate to the fact that Disney also this year decided to run another test program where they allow people that are staying at a Disney Springs hotel to get all the same benefits as resort guests. I don't know if you guys had heard about this, but they're doing this little trial run where if you're booking through Disney at a Disney Springs Good Neighbor hotel, you still get to do the Magical Express. You get to do your fast passes 60 days in advance. You get the extra magic hours, which I thought was awesome because Disney Springs hotels are almost like half the price of what a regular Disney resort hotel is. So it allowed families that maybe couldn't afford to stay even at the Ulsters are pricey for just motel style rooms. But at Disney Springs, you're getting a nicer room a lot of the time. You know, you're getting a name people recognize, like a Best Western or a Hilton, and they still have the character breakfast, and you're right next to Disney Springs, but still get all the perks. So I was like, okay, like they're giving more perks to DVC members. I understand that, but they're also they're doing this, which is huge. I think that's awesome. So for a lot of people that financially can't afford to stay on the parks, it was when I saw that they get like preferred viewing for the nighttime spectacular, or things like that. Because in February I'm going to Disney, and we bought the Tomorrowland Terrace dessert package to see Happily Ever After, to see the fireworks. Those tickets I think are like, I don't remember how much exactly I spent. It was somewhere between the $60 to $80 a person range. But for $50,
like $80.
They're $80.
Yeah.
For some dessert, which nobody eats. They're little BS cupcakes that you can get anywhere in the. No offense, but we paid it because his parents are a little bit. We're going with my husband's parents. It's their 40th anniversary, so we decided to take them, and they can't really do large crowds. So we were like, this gives us a place to sit, air conditioned. They're a little older, and then have a nice garden view of the fireworks. But for $50, you're telling me you can you get to get your 3 fast passes, but it's only offered to these specific people, and get specified viewing, because I bet you it's going to be in that same area, that garden view area. I don't see where else you're going to get preferred seating.
Yeah.
So it was that, and the 90 days in advance ticket, 90-day fast pass you can do. How's that going to work?
I think sorry, go on,
Nope,
Brittany.
go ahead.
I was just going to say another thing. We obviously all sound like we're coming from a similar point of view with regards to not being DVC members. But what about those people that are DVC members? I would be really upset if I was thinking, I'm committing to Disney, I'm paying whatever I need to pay.
Right.
I'm an elite member, as I think they call it.
And then they're charging you
and now Disney are now saying we want another $150 per person to offer this service.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me wouldn't feel as bad as if they said this is just an extra service we're offering to.
Yes.
It seems very much to me like a bit of a money-making venture.
Oh, they're nickel and
then
they can.
And then where is it going to stop? If this takes off, do normal fast passes then become a membership thing? Are you paying a little bit more to get a normal fast pass? Because as it stands at the minute, obviously the normal fast passes are staying as they are. But later down the line, do we start seeing, well, if you want to use the fast pass, you've got to pay $20, $30 a day?
Do you know what I think is actually?
It's where it stops.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to limit the amount of fast passes you can get. Like there's going to be a certain amount of fast passes that are allowed to go to the people that can book out 90 days because they have this extra pricing. Then it'll get cut down. So then they're going to get first dibs. So then there's a certain amount of time allotted that you can put these fast passes out, and a certain amount of people are allowed to, number-wise, are allowed to put down a fast pass. So the 90 days will get first dibs. And what happens if Mine Train has whatever amount of fast passes you're allowed to have? Maybe it's like 1,000 or 2,000. 90 days goes first. What happens if all those 1,000 fast passes are taken up by that? Does that mean to go and say that poor people can't ride Snow White's Mine Train?
Right, like they wouldn't even have a chance to get them at all. Like there's absolutely zero chance that you get to ride these rides. Like,
sorry.
Yeah.
I think, aren't they already charging for the Max Pass service in California? Like I don't think you have to pay to get a fast pass, but to book them ahead of time online or whatever.
Yes, but everybody has the opportunity for Max Pass.
Right. I don't necessarily have as much of a problem with that as I do this.
Right.
Also, I guess like even if it's like $50 is a lot for 3 extra fast passes, but if it was available for everybody, it would feel like less of an issue, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a classist kind of thing a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not even just $50. Like if you want those extra fast passes, you have to buy DVC. Like that's not cheap.
Well, you have to buy DVC and you have to commit to 3 days of it.
Right.
You have to spend that $50 is $150 right off the bat for one person.
It just seems kind of.
I think it's been intentionally priced at a range that it's that thing of $150 is a lot of money for anybody.
Yeah.
But if you're spending a couple of $1,000 on a trip to Disney, it's that idea of, well, it's only another $150, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's almost tapping into that that feeling that people have of, you're going to go on this trip and we want it to be as special as we can. So just give us this little bit of extra money and we'll make it a little bit more special for you.
Or what I don't understand is, why didn't they just make this an internal thing? Like, if it was just a pilot program that they're only offering to DVC members, why didn't they just do it through like a mail out flyer to people that have DVC and just be like, listen, we're running this test program. Like, why was it made as a public announcement and a public confirmation so that everybody can feel bad? I don't get the point.
Well, I mean, I think normal, like your average guest can book a club level room.
Right.
But you know, they're paying more than a DVC member would be paying
right.
for the room, obviously. So maybe that they're trying to entice people to pay the extra money and book the club level rooms rather than a standard room. I don't know.
I did see a couple of posts where people were saying that they had inquired about booking accommodation and were told by cast members they were booking with, you might want to hold off until Friday because there's a special offer coming, and they weren't actually told what it was, but obviously this seems to be what
wow.
so the staff at the resorts knew something was coming, or at some of the resorts at least knew something was coming, whether they knew what it was or not, but we're definitely telling people to hold off with bookings until
and
now.
then on the other hand, you have to look at it. If this is something that's obviously being targeted towards 1%ers, on average, you get a collective mix of different people that go to Disney World. So this is only going to be for 1% of the people that normally go to Disney World, I would imagine, kind of. So is it really going to affect anything? Or
I think it might affect it.
Find it unfair.
I think it might affect it more than we think it will. Like, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
The more I sit here and think about it, though, like if you're say you're a family of 4 going to Disney, which is like the average family that goes to Disney, normally like a family of 4, family of 5, like that's almost, you're there for 3 days. That's what, $450. 4 days is $700 or something like that. Like that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but when you look at how much those club level rooms are, and you're talking about between $400,000, $800,000 a night, it's not anything for them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one night.
It's a lot of money for us, but for the people that are spending the money to stay in those rooms, it's like pocket change.
I'm looking at it from the perspective of like $600 for a family. That's like almost like a quarter of what a family might pay for a vacation in all season.
Because those people that are booking club level rooms, if they're staying for a week, they're paying minimum $5,000 to go to Disney with the tickets and the type of room they have, and they're probably getting like the level 3 Disney dining package and doing all those perks. They're doing the tours, they're doing all that. So I don't know. I guess we'll see if it affects the average Disney fan.
Yeah, and Heidi, you made a good point too about the dessert parties. So yeah, where are they going to put these people that are getting this preferred viewing areas? Like, are they going to be discontinuing the dessert parties now to make room for this?
Or they're going to be crowding the crap out of them. It's going to be just as bad as watching it from Main Street.
Right.
And there's not a point.
Right.
Then they'll end up canceling the parties, I guess. Because they'll get more revenue from that $150 per person for 3 days than they will from one dessert party.
Right.
See, that's the point, that they bring the super fast pass in, where you pay $300 and then you get preferential viewing over the people that have just got the DVC fast pass.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. All right, it's getting me mad. We're gonna go on to the next one. Okay. All right. So there was a Disney podcast this week that mentioned the Coco update to the Grand Fiesta Tour at Epcot in the Mexico Pavilion may not happen due to a poor showing in the box office. So when I sent you guys that rumor earlier on this week, different questions I asked was like, did you see Coco? Were you a fan of Coco? What do you think of the original ride? Does Coco deserve to have a ride?
Okay, I'll just jump in first, because being on the tiny little rock that is the UK, we've not got Coco yet. It doesn't open until, I think it's the 19th of January over here. We've not even got the preview screenings yet. So I've not been fortunate enough to see it. What I will say is that I am going to see it. Obviously, I'm looking forward to it. And obviously, you've said about it having a poor showing at the box office. Pixar very rarely goes wrong, in my opinion. Even the films that don't seem like standout films when you first watch them. A perfect example for me is Inside Out. First time I watched Inside Out, nothing. I was, what is this? You watch it again, and every time you watch it, it just gets better and better and better. And is it a case of people have seen Coco and perhaps need to see it again, need to watch it more intently? But I don't know. Like I say, I've not seen it yet, so I can't really comment. But I will definitely be giving it a watch. But I'll let you guys discuss the ins and outs of it.
So I also haven't seen Coco yet, but I've read a lot
Shame
about
on
it.
you.
Sorry?
I said, shame on you. How have
And
you not seen
the
Coco?
one time I could go down the street and watch it, unlike Paul. Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, but like from what I've heard of it, I've heard like great reviews. I'm surprised to hear. I don't know the actual numbers, but I'm surprised to hear that the box office
Right.
showing hasn't been as high, because I know like the reaction within the Disney community has been great. Everyone's saying the movie's fantastic. So, yeah, I'm very surprised by that. I'm actually gonna look up what the.
Well, I saw Coco and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I was, like many other people, not the biggest fan of the Frozen short ahead of Coco. I mean, I didn't hate it, but it didn't really fit, and it was way too long, and it just didn't really make sense. But that aside, I've seen nothing but positive things about Coco, so I'm also really surprised that it didn't have the numbers that they were expecting. I thought it was great. I loved it. I cried twice. I thought it was so good.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, is it a case of, is it a bad, I mean, was it November time it came out in?
It came out on Thanksgiving.
Okay, I mean, is for someone in the UK, is that traditionally a time when, is that a movie time in the States? Is that a...
Yeah, a lot of people after they eat dinner, because kids have that week off or the 4 days off, it's considered a big time for us. Like it's like that crunch right before the holiday season really starts. Once Thanksgiving is over, Christmas is everywhere. So I saw Coco. I was obsessed with it. Being Latin, it was cool to see a Disney movie doing a culture right, because a lot of times it is very stereotypical. So the movie, I did some research. So it did get a Golden Globe on Sunday for Best Animated Feature. It hit 500 million in the box office. I think the issue is, and it's actually the 4th highest rated Pixar movie, just to give everybody so far. So it's done well. I think what Disney was expecting was another Frozen. I thought thought there were going to be little kids everywhere wanting to be the main character with the guitar, and it hit boys the way Frozen hit girls, and I don't think it did. So I think that may be what the resistance is. I don't think merchandising sold as much as Frozen or Toy Story or like those things did. I think that's what the issue is. And I don't know if that, because it is a cultural difference, I don't really know. What I will say is I think anything would be I think Coco, because it did so well to honor the culture, would do way better at Grand Fiesta Tour than what they have now at Grand Fiesta Tour. Because I believe it's a cute ride, but it's very stuck in its time, that it is a caricature of what Mexican people are. It's very 1990s. What is a Mexican? And and I think especially now that kids probably have friends that are Mexican, and Mexicans are all over the country, like they're relatable. They're American, so a lot of them. So I think it's just, I think even if it didn't do the merchandising, I think they owe it, as far as integrity, to put Coco in Grand Fiesta Tour or in the Mexico Pavilion, because that right, it's not right. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but
I agree with that. I mean, I like the ride. And I like that it's not super popular, so there's never a line. And if you ever want to like escape the heat and just go sit on a nice relaxing ride, it's there. And that wouldn't be the case anymore if Coco and I'm sure. But that said, I agree with you that it deserves a more genuine story. Like it deserves something that speaks to the culture more than Donald Duck.
And mind you, Coco was so beautiful. Like it was just a beautiful movie. How beautiful would that be to be in a ride? Like to be able to like take the journey through like the Dios de los Muertos land with all the lights and the color and everything like that. Oh, like if you imagine the technology they put into Pandora with all the light, what they could do just even on half that scale in a Coco ride, you would be waiting 3 hours in line.
With like the flower petal bridge.
Oh my God, yeah. And the animatronics that they could do with the skeletons and everything like that. Oh, and the song "Remember Me," I couldn't get that out of my head for like 3 weeks. It was amazing.
Yeah, same.
I'm definitely all for putting a Coco ride into Grand Fiesta Tour. I think if you asked me a few years ago, I don't think I'd be on board for that. But since they already have the Frozen ride, that ended up working out very well for Disney, and they're putting Ratatouille into France. I think at this point they have to kind of keep it. They have to keep like the continuity, and if they're going to put like IPs into World Showcase, and I think if there's a movie that fits like a country and they can do it right, I think they should. So,
if anything, I feel like Coco would fit in the Mexico Pavilion even more than Frozen fits in Norway.
Right? Yeah, totally.
Because it's actually like it's real Mexican traditions. It's not, a made up Arendelle land that's not even a real place that they just kind of like shoehorned into Norway. Like
it might just be me. I hate the Frozen ride. Like I hate it. Like I would rather have the Vikings. Bring on the Vikings. I couldn't.
Yeah, Maelstrom was great. I was kind of upset.
It was cute. It had that vintage 1950s, 1960s thing that Epcot has in some of the pavilions. But I mean, I guess it had to go, but I didn't think Frozen was the greatest thing there. All right. Okay. So we're going to be wrapping up soon, but I guess we'll finish with the last rumor, which is it's reported that there may be as many 3 World Showcase Pavilion editions, with Brazil and Spain being the most likely. It's also indicated that any additions would also be already represented by food and wine festival booths. And the Circle of Life will be closing at Epcot to make room for the Brazilian pavilion. So what do you guys think of this? What do you think of the countries that they picked?
You said Brazil, Spain. What was the other one?
Brazil and Spain. They haven't announced the last one yet. But say you had the option to pick that third one. What would you pick? Or would you get rid of Brazil and Spain altogether?
That's a good question.
I personally love Brazil and Spain, and I think that there needs to be more like representation from South America. In terms of food alone, I'm really excited for that because I think that sounds amazing. I'm super on board with both of those choices.
But I've got no issue with either of those. My only thought is almost all the areas have some kind of tie-in now to a Disney franchise. What would the tie-in with either of those areas be, unless there's any upcoming films based in either? Or I know that Spain as a pavilion, I believe in 1982 was put forward.
It was put out
to be built, and then they decided not to. Excuse me. So my only thinking would be what would they involve? Obviously, it's going to have a landmark and theming of that area, and the food and the drink is self-explanatory. Other than that, it's a little bit. Well, what are we going to pop there?
I know when Spain was first introduced recently, it was supposed to tie in with Gigantic, the giant movie that was being made, but that's been canceled now. So I don't know how that's going to affect the possibility of a Spain pavilion at all, if it will.
Maybe Elena of Avalor. I know Avalor is like a fictional land. She kind of ties into more of the true Spaniard kind of thing. So just like, Frozen What was the land in Frozen? It wasn't Norway.
Arendelle.
Arendelle. It was a fake place, but it was inspired by that country, so maybe they do that. As far as Brazil goes, I think it's just the food. I think they're more concentrating on the food and wine part of it. Food and wine has just become so huge that to incorporate more Latin American, South American countries, they want to give it a legit pavilion so that they could open up restaurants, Spanish themed restaurants, Brazilian themed restaurants. Epcot's definitely more adult for the most part. And I think Brazil and Spain would offer a little bit more like Spanish wine. The Brazilians have like their huge festivals and things like that. And I think that might offer somewhere else for the adults to go.
I mean, as far as suggestions for lands, just for my own selfish reasons, really, I'd love to see like a Polynesian themed area based around Montanui from Moana meet and greets, Polynesian food, island food. You could incorporate Lilo and Stitch into that and have your meet and greets and what have you. I just think that would be a really good idea. I don't think there's enough Moana. At the minute, we're big on the Moana.
Nice. Anybody else with the country?
Can't think of anything at the moment. I do like the idea of like a Polynesian themed country though. That's pretty good.
You know what I thought would be cool?
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. India. I thought that would be really cool. Like all the colors and the Bollywood and the shows that they could do. I thought that would be neat. Then they could
would be amazing.
Movie.
The only reason I think that they maybe won't do that is because of Animal Kingdom.
All right. Sorry guys, we had technical difficulties, but we're gonna jump back into where we left off. We didn't have too much left. We were on countries for Epcot pavilions, I believe. But I think I'm just going to stroll on to my next question because I think everybody kind of answered that. But this is kind of a big one. With the changes Epcot is getting, examples like less educational attractions and more character-driven rides. Do you think that Walt Disney World, like Walt Disney's original image of Epcot, do you think they're honoring that? Or if they are, or if they're not, where do you think they see this going? Like by the time the 50th anniversary happens in 2021, what is Epcot going to look like? What kind of feel are they doing?
Well, I personally, I think earlier on when you mentioned when we were talking about the World Showcase pavilions and you said about them being dated, obviously Epcot is supposed to be a world of tomorrow, so to speak.
Right.
And I think it's a very dated view of what tomorrow is going to be, and it's almost like we've passed what Disney feel like tomorrow should be. It seems to just be a lot of space types of things in my eyes. Now, Spaceship Earth's got to stay there. Obviously, that's a staple of.
Oh.
I think so. I don't think you can get rid of Spaceship Earth.
Swear to God, if they touch Spaceship Earth.
Huh?
Say,
if they touch Spaceship Earth, it would be a real
boycott.
But what I do think is that Disney isn't doing enough to look into almost technologies that are available. At other parks, you've got coasters that are integrating virtual reality, and it's that type of thing that I think Disney should be looking at. They should be looking at the technologies of the future now. What is the technologies of the next 20 years, and incorporating that into attractions. They've kind of got an idea. Obviously, they updated Test Track. Obviously, they've gone with the interactive idea of building your own car and looking at this, that, and the other. Mission Space, the technology behind that as an actual attraction is very not high tech as such, but it's an experience that you won't get really anywhere else. And I just feel like that they really need to be looking at what the future of attractions are at theme parks and getting in there before other parks, before the Six Flags parks and Universal, before they start really using this technology. Get in there, get it out there, get get people using this technology of tomorrow, as opposed to saying this is what tomorrow looked like in 1960. But that's my little bit.
I don't think they can really like stay true to Walt's vision of the future and like vision for Epcot and stuff, but that's because they can't because that's not what kids want to go do these days. Like if your family going to Disney, your kids aren't going to want to sit there and sit through a lot of like educational stuff. They're not going to want to sit through living with the land. We're in a world now where our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter every day. So they want something. You have to design rides and stuff that's going to entertain them 100% throughout. And I think that's the best way to do that is kind of incorporate characters, and names, and faces, and sound, and everything that they recognize. So that's my take on it. I don't think Disney is purposefully moving away from Walt's vision for Epcot, but I think from a business standpoint, it's the best way to go. And I think that's why they're doing it.
But okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think, though, I understand that they need to use characters and things that are entertaining to kids these days for them to connect with things to have them learn. But take Frozen, for example. Do you think that they put enough of the Norwegian culture? Like, they could have done a ride with using Elsa or whatever, but putting in more traditions or cultural things or things to that land in that ride. But I didn't see any of that.
I think they could. And I think like if they did like a Coco ride, I think they would do that. I think the big problem with the Frozen ride is they were really pressed for time. Like Frozen like knocked it out of the park, and all of a sudden, and then we're coming to the theme park and we're looking for Frozen stuff, and they didn't have anything to give them, so they kind of just ripped Maelstrom out and like threw something in there, and the quickest thing they could. I think now they would definitely take like more care into how they theme the rides and still make them educational while they're entertaining and have IPs as a part of them and stuff like that. So.
Okay.
But as far as Epcot goes, I've always really thought of it as almost two main areas. You've got Epcot and then you've got the World Showcase.
Right.
If you discount the World Showcase, Epcot doesn't have character theming. You've got the seas with Nemo, fair enough. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I've never really.
Well, there was Circle of Life that's closing now, but that had the Lion King in it. I guess not really much.
It's not really a part that I would go to.
Right. No.
For character interaction. Mm-hmm. It was always for me when I was going. It was always a case of going to see what attractions are there, but it wasn't driven by I want to go on this attraction because it's linked to this this film. Right. Even things like Figment. Now, obviously, Figment is a character that really became as big as he did through Epcot. It wasn't like there was a Figment movie and everyone saw that and so everyone went on the Figment ride at Epcot. It was the other way around, really. It was a case of the attraction building a character that then even people now buy merchandise, and I'm not even sure if Figment's still really up and running it. I know they were doing a lot of changes with the Imagination Land.
It's still there. It's just not very popular.
Not as prevalent.
No.
I still love Figment.
No, they need to bring back the original ride or like a better version of it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I miss the Dreamfinder. Mm-hmm. But I think Adam made a good point when he said it's a business. And so number one, that's, they're trying to make money. And I think it almost seems like they're not super confident in original ideas anymore. So they feel like they need to tie them to an IP to make people interested, which is kind of a bummer. And, I guess I don't have a problem with them bringing in characters or bringing in thrill rides. I just wish that there was a way that they could better mesh that with the educational aspects that made Epcot what it was originally.
I honestly think if educational is done right, kids will want to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you make something fun enough, then kids will do it.
Yeah.
And if they're building an attraction and saying, children aren't interested in this, then I'm sorry, that's your fault. If children aren't interested in the attraction that you've built, then you need to change it. It's you can't say, oh, the kids aren't as switched on nowadays, and the attention spans are too short, so we're not going to do this, that, and the other. Get something that grabs their attention. Get something that puts the phones back in the pockets and puts the iPads back in the bags.
Well, think about
and gets them.
You have one of the biggest rides at Magic Kingdom that is an original ride, but that has spawned a ton of movies that most people won't even realize is educational, is Pirates of the Caribbean. It is a history ride. You don't realize that while you're going through it. But the way that they show the Spanish time, and it's not as fantasy or adventure as you think it is. A lot of kids learn for the first time about pillaging and like what pirates were all about and the Spaniard history of it all. It can be done, and it can be done well. And the important part is for kids to learn without knowing that they're learning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I think that's why Coco was so great. That movie, kids learned so much from that movie. There were so many little hints in this and learning all about Dios de los Muertos, and I bet you they had no idea that they just went through a giant cultural lesson and a giant geography lesson. Put that into the ride, perfect.
And to go back to what I said earlier, Inside Out, how brave a film is that to be a kid's film and tackle issues that really most children won't know exist. But if they start having feelings, it's something that could be related. Someone could sit down with them and say, okay, you're feeling sad, so let's look at this film and we'll explore what that feeling is and why you're feeling that and what can help and that type of thing, really. I think it's very brave when they are able to educate children, right? I just think that me personally, like saying, oh well, we can't really do that anymore. I don't believe it. I don't believe that there isn't people at Disney in those Imagineer offices that can't come up with attractions that will make children want to go to Epcot for the day. They want to go and see this, that, and the other and learn.
Do you guys think maybe they're purposely doing that? Like, even though they're putting in IP characters like Frozen and Coco, those were movies that a lot of people went to go see. Like, you're a huge Pixar fan because those are Pixar movies cross generations. Like, you can go as an adult, you can go as a child, you can go without children and still love those movies just as much as the children love them. So do you think possibly, and especially with them putting in more pavilions because Food and Wine has been so popular, and that's very much an adult event. Like, you go, I mean, kids can go to it, but you're drinking around the world, you're trying food from all different kinds of places. You know what I mean? They have to kick people out sometimes because they practice too much in adult activities, beverages and things like that when you're down there. So do you think maybe they're trying to turn it more into an adult park? Is that too far-fetched? Or gearing it more to an adult? Because if you're taking all the educational rides, you're throwing in more thrill rides, and then you're adding in more pavilions for more restaurants, for more that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like it seems like the opposite. Like they're making it more geared towards kids, bringing in all the extra characters and like adding Frozen into the World Showcase. Doesn't really belong there, but it's like they want to gear it more towards kids and make kids more interested in it and this and that. And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, kids should want to learn about different cultures, and Frozen isn't that. And so it's, if anything, it's taking away from what it was meant to be.
I think Adam nailed that when he said that it was shoehorned in. It was a way of getting something. I don't think for 1 minute Disney realised the hit they were going to have with Frozen. I think it took everyone by surprise. They weren't prepared for it. As soon as it went off like it did, they were just, right, how can we cash in on, not cash in, that probably sounds wrong. How can we tap into this film franchise for as cheaply as possible? Because I'm sure that they didn't have to change a lot of the theme in things like the queue areas and things like that. Because
the queue area is awesome. I will give it that. The detailing in that queue line is really cool. Like how they made like the little wood house, like the workshop and stuff like that, and you go in. I mean, I guess there's some learning in there in the line, if that makes any sense. Like when you go in, like the architecture is very much that vintage Norwegian style, and you get to see what village life was like, maybe.
I love the idea of the showcase pavilions. Generally have staff from the area that they are. So obviously the United Kingdom pavilion has people from the United Kingdom working there. Just love the idea of all these Norwegians all of a sudden being asked what Arendale's like when these kids turn up to go and see the attraction and assume that it's a real place. And
right. So
yeah, I do like the Frozen ride. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think it's really cute. I think that it was well done. Like the animatronics are great, whatever, but it doesn't fit at all. Like I don't think it belongs there. Put it in Magic Kingdom or put it somewhere else. It doesn't belong in the World Showcase.
So where is Epcot going? What is the vision? Like what is Epcot? What is it going to be in 2021? Does anybody have an idea? Because I don't think Disney even knows.
I think what he's trying to do is turn it into a park that's like for everybody. But I think any Disney park is really for anybody. But they're trying to like force it almost like, okay, there's stuff for kids, there's stuff for adults, and I think like Epcot had like stuff for kids, and had stuff for adults, but now they're trying to like almost like mix them together and like, okay, well, World Showcase was mostly an adult thing, but let's sprinkle some rides in here to make it more kid friendly, and vice versa. And I think like adding like turning Ellen's Energy Adventure into a roller coaster, and like throwing the Ratatouille ride in France. It's almost like they're just trying to turn it into another
Magic.
Or like, or it's almost like the same way Hollywood Studios is going, where it's just like IPs everywhere. Like,
yeah, but that's okay because that's Hollywood, though. That's
right. I'm totally okay with where that's going because it's just
it's supposed to be IPs. Like that's the point of Hollywood Studios, right?
Yeah, but I feel like at the same time, Epcot and Hollywood Studios are going to look like almost the same park by the time they're
right, because they're all like these thrill movies and thrill rides.
Yeah.
See, as much as I love Guardians of the Galaxy and cannot wait for that attraction, it doesn't live at Epcot. There's no way that lives there. That is just a case of we have the space. What are we going to put in it? Let's put Guardians of the Galaxy there.
Now, is it just me, or should Guardians of the Galaxy have gone to Hollywood Studios and then roller coaster, instead of being in Magic Kingdom, should have gone to Epcot? Because futuristic thing. Like if you're going to put IPs in there and you need an IP for the future pavilion or future world, why the heck would you put? That's another thing. Like, where are they going with these parks? Why would you put Tron in Magic Kingdom?
Right. Yeah, I agree. They should have put the Guardians of the Galaxy in where Rock and Roller Coaster is, because how relevant is Aerosmith right now, honestly?
Right. And it's not very Hollywood. I mean, it's music, but Hollywood's about movies, I would imagine more.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor somewhere that the Aerosmith or Rock and Roller Coaster was going to be turned into a Monsters Inc. ride. I don't know how true that is. I've seen that a couple places, but I don't think that's nothing that's been confirmed. But I would not be a fan of that.
That would belong at Magic Kingdom. Monster Inc. because they already have the Monster Inc. Laugh Factory. I would imagine more that they would turn, if they were going to put a roller coaster, they would put that there and get rid of the Laugh Factory. Does anybody else think that, like, is Disney World confused about what it's doing in certain things? Because Tomorrowland in itself, what is that going to look like with a super futuristic roller coaster, but you have a 1950s version of what the future looks like in Tomorrowland?
See, again, it's Tomorrowland. It's just space. It's like Disney's version was just that when it came to the year 2000, it was all just going to take off space, and that was going to be it. Now, obviously, we don't intend on doing that, which is why I think Tomorrowland just looks. I mean, they've just updated the Speedway, the Speedway attraction there. Obviously, Stitch coming or going, we don't know yet. Tomorrowland is probably my least favourite part of Magic, and for that reason, it seems so dated. and then we talk about Tron. I can't even see why they would put Ethan in the spot that Tron's supposed to be going in. It just seems so like we've got a bit of Greenland. Oh, just chuck it behind there. It'll be all right. But
I agree. Personally, I love Tomorrowland just because, like nostalgia and personal reasons. But I definitely understand where you're coming from about it not being the best part of Disney World. It's definitely like the land in the Magic Kingdom that needs the most work. Even when you ride the Carousel of Progress, unless it to be updated. Where the old grandma's playing the VR and he's talking to the oven or the microwave or whatever. But that hasn't even been updated in forever, and that's like the late '80s. Like it's supposed to be like the future, but
We're
it's
talking
like,
about laser discs and car phones and like.
it's ridiculous. So I think Disney set them up for trouble when they came up with the idea for Tomorrowland. And Walt Disney was like, "Well, we're gonna have a land that's all about the future." I don't think Paul had that. Well, we're gonna be here for a while.
Yeah,
The future
and
does
it's like,
change.
I mean, it's impossible to keep up with technology. So it makes they that idea, okay, it's the 1950s idea of the future. Fine, but they're not sticking with that concept. And even like Heidi, like you were saying, Monsters, they have the last floor there now, but that doesn't really make sense either. Like, does Monsters have to wait tomorrow? Like, and the Speedway doesn't make any sense. I thought they were originally supposed to put Tron where the Speedway was or something, but now it's going just behind the Speedway. I don't know. It's a mess. I don't think they really know what they're doing with that land right now at all.
Disney definitely knows that the whole Tomorrowland thing is an issue, because that's why, like, when they built Disneyland Paris when was it, '92 or something, I think Disneyland Paris opened. That's why it's Discoveryland instead of Tomorrowland. They kind of make whatever they want it to be and aren't constricted to, okay, what has to be about the future. So they like know it's an issue, and I think they're trying to figure out ways to combat it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think my internet connection may be a little off. So everybody's faces are kind of going into like slow motion. I don't know if this is in real time or not, or if I sound really delayed. It may be me. So I think I'm gonna end it here. I think that was a really good conversation. I think that was good. So I think we're gonna end it here. I want to thank everybody who came in and saw our first episode. This was really fun. We could probably go on for 3 more hours if my computer wasn't acting stupid and if we actually had time, but we do have jobs that we have to get back to in the morning. So I'm going to say good night to everybody. And does anybody else want to say anything or add in anything? No. Okay. See you later.
no, all good.
Good night. Bye.